One of the worst strategies that's kind of come to life in digital marketing today is really the concept of paying influencers for upfront posts without a clear strategy on how that's actually going to turn into attributed sales. And I know any creator watching this is probably thinking, whoa, 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 slow your roll here. But the reality is this is kind of a problem that needs to be resolved for creator marketing just to remain sustainable as is. For both sides of the aisle, brands and creators, obviously both parties want to make this work. And the best way for it to work is for it to be more sustainable and equitable for both sides in the long run. Now, any performance marketer, of course, is going to desire something a little bit more affiliate and commission based. And that's ideal, obviously, on the brand side. And I think that's a sustainable future that we can work towards and generally makes most sense. But for us to get there, to get creators on board, get talent managers on board, and everybody in the ecosystem aligned, there really needs to be a compensation model in the middle that we can take one step closer towards. And for that, we can take a look at Uber as a source of inspiration and how they use performance bonuses to accumulate their over 6 million drivers today. See, there's a lot of commonalities between the way Uber needs to form relationships with drivers and the way that brands need to form relationships with influencers. The first one being that they both have this inherent challenge of trying to form sort of B2B relationships at a B2C scale, which can be a challenge when there's just truly so many people you need to hold a relationship with and communicate with. And this pushes you to need to adopt tactics that can kind of cut through the noise and just make it really clear about what the relationship's going to be, what the compensation strategy is going to be, and make sure that ultimately that relationship's going to be motivating for that driver or that influencer to want to pursue the relationship, even in lack of having that super close personal relationship with somebody at the company. So they both have to deal with that kind of messaging and relationship building challenge. The second situation that they share is that both drivers and influencers affiliates need to kind of adapt their craft to meet the needs of the partnerships. And that is that, drivers, they already know how to drive a car, and content creators and influencers, they already know how to create content and build a social presence. But what both have in common is they need to push their craft a little bit further to meet those objectives of working together. So drivers, that means elevating their game so that they can give passengers a more enjoyable experience and riding experience, and creators elevating the way they produce content and branded content so that it actually drives sales for the sponsoring and partnering brand. Now, Uber is obviously a very large company. They had a lot of strategies to get to where they are today. So not to say it's all due to the driver bonus, but the driver bonus played a huge role. And what it really was is that as a new driver coming onto Uber, if you reach a certain milestone, like 50 rides, 100 rides in a certain time frame, you received a cash bonus, whether that be $500 or $750. And this is really great because it solved those aforementioned problems that they had to deal with. For one, it helped kind of cut through and form that relationship at scale more quickly with the compensation transparency, which is just a huge unlock for building attachment in a partnership. And the second thing was, by pushing them to kind of learn on the job to get to that milestone, it actually makes them better at the job as well. Like by trying to get to 50 rides, I'm becoming a better driver, I'm starting to enjoy the job more, and I'm starting to realize how I can become faster at this, or just do this more sustainably. So it helps unlock both of those situations. Now, the reason performance bonuses are ripe to be implemented in affiliate, influencer, creator marketing in 2024 is because as you start to look at your creators, giving them that kind of bonus out of the gate does the same thing that we've mentioned for Uber here. It's, creators, they know how to create content, that's for certain. They know how to create engagement, but they may not know how to sell and turn that engagement into a conversion. But that's where e-commerce brands have typically specialized in the past. But by having that performance bonus, you can actually put that creator in a position where they are going to challenge themselves to think about solving those problems. They're going to want to reach that milestone, and so they're going to start adding those subtle call to actions in their pitches. They're going to make those links a little bit more apparent. They're going to be a little bit more descriptive on the specifications of the product. All small things that you typically can miss out on those past paid upfront post for engagement situations, but are necessary if you actually want that content to drive a sale. So with that all said, let's just take a quick look at what it would take to construct this model. Like what should your milestones really be? And the best place to start is think about what your client lifetime value is today. For, I know people calculate it differently. Let's consider it as the value of a customer from when they've been acquired to the next 12 months is a good model here. And let's say on typically your CLTV is about $200. Now, let's also consider your CLTV if you less like your COGS and other overhead costs from that. And let's say after you less all that, your CLTV, like your net CLTV, it's going to be about like $100 once you subtract all that. Okay, so now let's say that a reasonable milestone may be 5 sales. Okay, so 5 sales times like your net CLTV is going to really be about $500 if you kind of look at it that way. So like that should be kind of viewed $500 in this scenario as like your max bonus for a creator bringing in 5 sales. So that's kind of like a best place to establish like a starting mental model. And from there, obviously you can break out the spreadsheets and go pretty hard looking at other ways to spin that. But ultimately that should be kind of your framework to start from and think about. Obviously you don't want to go well above those figures using that kind of equation, because ultimately you're going to be coming out at a loss one way or another. But another way you could spin it is go to an extreme. Let's say, for example, you wanted to offer a substantial bonus. Maybe you want to throw out $5,000 if somebody reaches a substantial milestone, like maybe 100 orders or something. Don't know if that math adds up off the top of my head, but that's a way you could spin it as well. Given even if you don't actually make money on somebody reaching that milestone, the amount of folks who try to reach that milestone may actually end up netting you well ahead. So there's other ways to spin it. You could also look at bringing it to the other side of the scale, doing lower milestones. Maybe you get paid on your second order, just kind of as like a mini retention bonus. You get paid, $25 extra cash on top of your commission when you bring in a second order. So lots of ways to experiment with it. Obviously encourage trying the spectrum, but nonetheless, definitely incorporate this bonus structure as you look at compensation models for 2024. And if you have any other ideas on how to spin those, or you've experimented with these in the past, would love to see, so please leave a comment.